Right, so if you ever wondered how to dissect a phishing campaign, aka the things that's normally referred to as an APT when you start breaking down a lot of the reports, then Jim has flown in all the way from Canada to help us out with this. So I'll hand it over to Jim Slaughter. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. Really appreciate it. I know we're in the afternoon slump where your caffeine levels are starting to dwindle to the critical point. So I'll start off by saying a little bit of who I am. So as was mentioned, I am Canadian. Don't hold it against me. Probably less so than the people that come from the south of us. By day, I am a cybersecurity analytics manager for a Tier 1 financial organization here in the UK. Despite what the job title says, what that really means is I do a lot of malware analysis, a lot of reverse engineering, and I end up dissecting a lot of phishing campaigns. As you can imagine, a bank might be on the receiving end of quite a number of them. Plus, if you say my job title a lot during a drinking game, you will get drunk really fast. Previously, I spent about 9 years on the enterprise development team at BlackBerry. I got out while the getting was good. I decided that breaking bad guys, bad code is a lot better than fixing good guys with really bad code. And at least the bad guys learn from their mistakes. So for the last 7 years, I've spent my nights and free time just sort of tinkering, hacking, bulking up on my knowledge any way I can, doing malware, RE, and code analysis. And if you're really bored one night, possibly a little drunk, then please visit my blog, slaughtergames.com. Now, why I'm doing the talk? It's fun. I'm really passionate about this, and I'm hoping to get a few converts from some of you in the audience. More to the point, malware campaigns are becoming increasingly prevalent, and they're becoming dangerous in the hands of the capable attacker. This goes for your average person at home, right up through the corporate space, just ask the targets. And I think also defenders and the DFIR guys need a little bit more representation in conferences like this. They're every bit as needed as the pen test side of the house. I'll speak a little bit more about that later, but this talk sort of feeds into that overall sentiment. So, SITREP. Regarding malware with a financial bent. Now, I'll preface that by saying I could have gone with some mind-blowing nation-state-sponsored APT topic. In fact, I did that last year. So that would be a bit of duplication on my part, but a lot of us have budgets to maintain in between having Russia or Korea commanders. So also, it's by far much more common than having an APT hit you. So the statistic that Kaspersky has thrown out for 2014 for all of their global operations, they detected 22.9 million attacks using some sort of financial method. Now, if you can believe it, that's actually a bit of a decrease from the year previous, which I don't really understand how they managed to do that. But more importantly, as germane to this topic, 75% of that total is specifically geared towards stealing online banking credentials. Now, working for a financial services organization, that is of most concern to me. And as a consumer of possibly that financial organization or others, that should be a very large concern for you. Now, there are you know, as many families of this type of malware as, you know, there are stars in the sky. But some of the more famous are Zeus, Carver, Dyer, Crydex, Drydex, or NeverQuest, and Gozi. Some of you may or may not be aware that a few of these have had major takedown attempts done on them by law enforcement. Game over Zeus being, I guess, the most high-profile one. Now, that being said, the infrastructure for that was sinkholed and traffic dropped off the face of the earth. However, the individual believed to have created the Zeus malware is still enjoying himself on the southern Black Sea coast that will likely never be extradited to somewhere he can be brought to justice, because that's just how the world is. Now, that being said, many of these malware families are structured using an affiliate model. So in the aforementioned Game Over Zeus model, the person responsible, whose name I believe is Boguchev, simply just created the malware. And then anyone in the criminal underground could buy access to that malware if they had a spam bot, throw out their own emails, do their own campaigns, and then, you know, reap the rewards accordingly by paying a fee to use the actual product, either by use or by number of bots, that sort of thing. So the benefits of this are much less exposure for the people who create it. The malware authors, all they do is develop and maintain the infrastructure, while the risk and most of the reward, are, you know, go to the individual attackers. Plus, in delivering the attack, much less skill is required than actually having to go and create one of these massive botnet infrastructures and bots themselves. So we'll foreshadow a little bit. I'd like to spend most of my time today talking about Drydex. My day job, most of what is hitting us right now in the corporate space is Drydex. We'll go through a campaign from phishing email all the way up to actually looking at the attachment and downloader, and then follow it through to its logical conclusion. So not only is it affecting my own institution, I suspect most of you, even if you don't recognize it, have probably received a Drydex-based email at one point or another. I know we typically, in the course of a campaign, will get somewhere between 2,000 and 6,000 emails per, and these can be relaunched the following day without any difficulty on the part of the attacker. Also, as time has gone on, it's really only been in the market for about a year. It continues to be adapted. It's really quite adept at getting around some of the defenses in place these days. So originally, it was a descendant of a malware family called Crydex, also known as Fido and Bugat, depending on who's doing the analysis of a particular sample or what threat intelligence provider you have. It's really based on preference. If any of you are familiar with abuse.ch, they do Zeus trackers, as well as some other malware families. They call it Fido. With Drydex, victims are almost entirely targeted through phishing emails. Depending on who the affiliate is, those emails have varying degrees of quality. Not all of them are written by people that speak English as a first language. And some of the affiliates are based in other countries, target other countries. So, for instance, about a month ago, there was a big intel piece indicating that one portion of the Drydex gang was going after French-speaking individuals. So it's a very varied potpourri, if you will, targeting scheme that they have. So in addition to the phishing email, as I mentioned, just about all of the attacks involve some sort of an attachment, always a Microsoft Office attachment, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet or a Word doc. For some reason, they don't like to use some link obfuscation techniques that other gangs typically employ. But it's, I have to say that it's reasonably simple and it's effective, and despite the fact that it's been going on, since the dawn of the internet and email, it still works. So, speaking about Dridex, beyond a concept, at its simplest point, Dridex is a malicious Windows executable and DLL package. Once that package is installed onto an end user system, that system then becomes part of the botnet. Each bot within that botnet contains its own ID, basically identified to its command and control host, and if the malware authors want to track a particular instance to one of their affiliates, the botnet authors have a fairly sophisticated set of debugging tools, so they're essentially run like any other software services organization. They log bugs, they fix bugs, they track abusers of their particular tools, and then they can kick people off that don't seem to be abiding by their terms and conditions. So once that happens and someone is unlucky enough to be a victim and have Dridex installed, they have a system of what they call web injects that will then either man in the middle or man in the browser the victim. So once this happens, a series of URLs is stored within web injects for a particular institution, whether it be banking, whether it be shopping like Amazon, PayPal. If the user goes to one of these URLs, then the bot knows to intercept the call to the browser, redirect it to a site of their own, will alert somebody on the other end that, hey, this person is now trying to log in to use some sort of financial utility. Let's stop it, redirect it, and usurp it for our own goals. The user is usually then just punted or shunted, thinking that they've put their credentials in incorrectly or sent to a fake page, while the people on the back end are plundering their account. When that happens, there's a fairly sophisticated set of money mules that will then essentially launder the money through a few different accounts, usually in places that the Western legal system can't get to, and then they're off to the races with your money. So the Dridex gang have learned from previous botnet takedowns, e.g. The aforementioned Game Over Zeus and RAM, that was another recent one. Their command and control infrastructure is much more resilient than even either of those. And keeping in mind too that Game Over Zeus and RAM that took a massive coordinated effort from law enforcement all over the European Union, from North America, and from a few other places that, quite honestly, often don't get along, but they managed to do it. And it was, in doing so, I think these guys learned that they had to make their own systems even harder to take down, even with that coordinated effort. So in doing so, they've created a system where the person on the end of the box operating the utility to control the botnet is 3 or 4 layers removed from the hapless victim, which makes it incredibly difficult to track. And even if you could, that's only one instance. So the top layer infrastructure, so again, the person that is able to sit at a box at a terminal, they're going to be behind, I can use the buzzword, but they're usually hidden behind bulletproof hoster. So if somebody like your OVH, your Cloudflare, just nearly impossible to get at and then later identify. So the C2 structure is set up a little bit like this. You have your victim who's become infected, they've received a phishing email, they've unfortunately clicked on the attachment, they've run the attachment, and they're off to the races. So the attachment will call out and they will download the DriveX executable onto their system. That download site also then becomes the first layer of command and control, which will then have a VPN connection to the next layer. So that's one more level of protection for the attacker, and makes it extremely difficult, even at this stage, to then start identifying where the command and control traffic is truly coming from. So it could be a compromised host, just randomly somewhere on the internet. From this point, as I mentioned, there's usually a bulletproof hoster sitting between that level 2 and then actual direct control of the botnet. Now, this is one model in some of the models that we've studied during my day job. There can be actually one more layer involved in front of this as well, just making it that much more complex and difficult to start tracking down. So, now after all that long preamble, and the sort of talking that comes about the ins and outs of everyday use of the botnet, let's have a look at some of the physical, copies of some of these attacks. I guess, like I mentioned earlier, these really aren't particularly sophisticated in terms of phishing. So any one of you could go get a hold of the social engineering toolkit and make far better examples of what I'm going to show you here. And these are all perfectly real, used with the permission of the people that got them. So this is a common one. You've received some sort of an order, all the details, you have a customer ID. Normal, everyday people would go, I haven't ordered anything. What are you talking about? I better have a look at the invoice. It's sad, but it works. And it doesn't take anything more than that because humans are naturally curious, and obviously something like this is going to pique somebody's curiosity. So let's try another one here. Even simpler. This one is showing that there's well, I guess in US dollar amounts 48 grand, that's quite large. So whoever got this is obviously going to go, it's 48 grand, I better know what's going on, and click on this attachment to find out whether or not I'm out. Again, that's all it takes. So the next physical one I'm going to show you is a little bit more involved. It's part of an Amazon scam, and this one uses an interesting technique. Makes the phishing email a little bit more believable in that they use live links that actually redirect to the real Amazon site. So if you're looking at this, even if you're smart enough that you can take your mouse, hover over the link, and see that it's actually going to Amazon instead of somewhere in Russia, then it makes it that much more believable. Still, there's the attachment, and it's an impressive looking attachment name, I must say. Looks perfectly official, right? Sadly. So, unfortunately, within that attachment, there is a macro. Just about all of these DriedX emails have some sort of a macro. Depending on which part of the gang is sending the email, they use one that's actually named Bartlex, and has a horrifying feature for somebody that's actually decoding it, in that they instruct the download link one ASCII character at a time. So if you're trying to debug it, you well calculate it. It's horrifying. You either want to slap them for making your life miserable, or shake their hand for doing something absolutely devious. The colleague who helped me review the presentation for it and delivered it made an interesting point, in that if an organization actually switched on macro security within OS, within Microsoft Office, most of this wouldn't be a problem, although in some of the attachments, the gang is smart enough to actually say, well, you turn macros off, please switch it on if you actually want to see the content, which, again, there's many layers of subversion that in social engineering that they can use upon the victim. So if our hapless victim clicks on the attachment and opens it, they will be sorely disappointed, because they get a whole lot of absolutely nothing. A big blank screen within Word. Unfortunately, while it looks like nothing is happening, the macro in the background is actually executing. So, I hope everybody can see that sort of so if any of you do this at all, or want to do it, Office Mouse Scanner is going to be your friend, even though that the product is getting a bit long in the tooth, hasn't been updated for some time. Attackers realize, much like anyone that works in a large organization, that backwards compatibility rules. So they make these documents and macros essentially backwards compatible all the way back to the early Office 2000, which is fantastic because you don't have to do any trick stuff in order to take them apart and actually look at the code. So if you run Office Mouse Scanner on this malicious attachment, you will see that it actually finds stuff, and there are a number of modules here that are named after people, which is kind of weird. And I don't know why they pick these names, but just they're not common everyday names either. So I switch over to this. What you will see is for the defender an exercise in frustration. What they have done is name every variable and every function using somebody's name. And when they do this, what you end up getting is a huge point of circular logic. So you see, I want to know what the value of Hugo is. Well, in order to find out what Hugo is, I need to know that Lionel is a function and returns values of Esteban and Xavier. It's insanely frustrating. If you have time, then you can obviously trace this out. You can run it in the debugger, or you can look for clues. So if I go to here, despite the fact that they're using first names as variable and function names, they still actually have to play by the rules of the operating system. So in function Cleveland, they're essentially making the one API call to open URL. So by sort of short-circuiting the logic trap, you can narrow down what it is that they're trying to do. The other thing you can do if you're lazy sometimes, like I am, is just run it through Google. Go back. And what you end up getting is that. So the code, when it executes, will call Michelin HTTP www.michelin.com /42/335.exe. And they also do something else that a lot of other malware actors won't do is they have a custom user agent. So this does an interesting thing. If you're a researcher and you're just sort of flopping around haplessly in the dark, like I do sometimes, you have a URL that you could potentially get a sample from. And if you use something like curl or wget with no flags, then put that in, you will fail. The reason being they have a configuration set up that only a particular user agent will be allowed to connect to the site and then download the file. So, I mean, you can eventually figure it out, but if you're just somebody that doesn't particularly have a lot of time or a lot of energy or a lot of resources, they're just going to get fed up with it and just go home. So, on the flip side of this, this gives you something to look for in your logging setup. Now, everybody here has a unified logging platform, right? Right? If you know what you're looking for, a user agent is a fabulous thing to look at if you potentially think somebody on your system is infected with something they shouldn't be. So, now, this is the main Redux executable. So most of the time, everything that it needs to mess around your package within, it will drop a DLL that the executable will take the code from and inject into explorer.exe. So once that's done, it will detect whenever you run any of the major or popular web browsers that are out there. So i.e. Firefox or Chrome, doesn't matter, it'll see it, it'll be watching, and you'll be screwed. So like I mentioned before, the thing that essentially tells Redux what to be on the lookout for is essentially just an XML config file. So when the victim goes, and I realize I have to black out one of the URLs there, but if you have a look, you'll see that it's referencing Chase Online. I don't work for them, so so whether it's Chase Online, Bank of America, PayPal, if it shows up in there, Redux will be watching for it, and if you browse to it, it'll intercept the traffic and attempt to steal your credentials and empty your account. So, nearly at the end, a little bit early, but I'm going to kind of climb up onto my soapbox for a minute. So, one of the reasons that I did the talk was that I work in a corporate environment. So I have a lot of, in my immediate department, I have a lot of people that understand security, understand important as all of you do as practitioners, whether you're a hobbyist or whether you actually, do this on a day-to-day basis. Now, standing one level above you, unless you work at a consultancy, are going to be the people that get your paycheck. Whether they work on the board of your company or another department, or whether you're subservient to a particular business area. And it's been my personal experience that a lot of the times they don't quite take as seriously security when they have to, or when they should be. So with sort of their area of expertise focused on bottom line or availability, it can be difficult, I think, sometimes to convince them how high priority security should be, and the fact that in this day and age, controls can't be skimped on. And unfortunately, I think in case something like a Target event or Ashley Madison or Fairphone Warehouse sometimes convince some of the higher-ups that this is a massive problem. And I think somebody said it in the keynote wonderfully this morning that occasionally soft skills are required by each of us, and it's really kind of necessary to practice that. There's nothing I would love more than to sit at my desk in a T-shirt that has a certain comment, tells you in many ways that I will not fix your computer today. But unfortunately, occasionally I have to suit up and go talk to the people that cut my paycheck and tell them that they have problems and they need to fix them, or everybody's going to be out of job. So that's something that I really hope, if you take anything away, that this particular threat can affect anyone. So especially with phishing, numerous studies have shown there's always going to be one person that clicks on the email. Always going to be somebody that's willing to give a dancing monkey their credit card information. And you just have to be prepared for that. The other point that I kind of want to drive home off the back of this is that security is a lot more than just penetration testing. So I know a lot of the talks are sort of bent in that area, but there are other aspects. There is the defender role, and a lot of fun, believe me, can be had off the back of taking malware samples from person and finding out and mapping how the real bad guys work. It's not just all the fun 0 days. Although in the course of doing some of this, you might, if you're lucky, just because, especially guys that write the exploit kits, they love 0 days. So there is room in the security pantheon for all of it, and definitely people are looking for that skill set. So those are the 2 points that I really wanted everyone to take away from this. So some of the tools of the trade, some of the stuff that I've used here, Office Mouse for sure, Remnuts especially, Lenny Zeltzer, works for the SANS Institute, has an entire Linux distro, much like Kali, has every possible RE tool that you can imagine under the sun, crammed into this virtual machine. Does a marvelous job, super easy to use, makes your job a lot easier, makes it super simple to get into doing this if you're not already. And also, whether you do malware analysis or not, whether you're just doing tech or you want to find out whether you have a threat on your hands, Kuku is a great way to figure that out if you set it up, or if you don't want to go all the trouble, malware.com, that's cloud instance of Kuku set up by the Shadow Server Foundation. Fabulous, really easy to use. illustrative than just going by our store.
Check the question.
Yeah.
You don't have any district that's got that bead style.
Off the top of my head, I don't think so. Super. I'm not even doing a demo. Fail.
You don't even start 65 bed.
What's that, sorry?
They're not starting 65 bed.
No.
I think that that's our threat. I think they're going to be super.
Yeah, I know that it's just, I mean, the guys that develop this stuff, they go with what works, and eventually it's going to move that way, but until they're forced to do so by the defenses and controls that they put in place in the average organization. There. So, Shannon's bugs, do you ever need help with samples or anything really? It's hard to get a hold of me. I do have a couple of GitHub projects, and I do blog. So, yeah, that's the end of my spiel. Happy to take questions. Oh, thank God you're letting me off easy. Well, with that, I guess the last thing I will say is that I really want to thank BSides for inviting me and organizing this. It's been a nice experience, the second time I've been here, and I also really want to thank you all for coming out in this mid-afternoon caffeine dip.